Good afternoon, Lukulu Town Council. My name is Kampamba Mlenga. I am Member of Parliament for the good people of Kalulushi on the Copper Belt. Lukulu, you're welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Mwanza.
Good afternoon, Chair, and welcome, Lukulu, to your Committee on Local Government Accounts. I'm Honorable Dr. Aaron Mwanza, Member of Parliament for Kaumbwe constituency in Petago District of the Eastern Province. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lukulu. You are welcome one more time. My name is Murunda Darius, Member of Parliament for Siavonga constituency, and the privilege to chair this session. Before we get into our business, Council Secretary, members of Parliament under Cap 12 of the Laws of Zambia enjoy the immunity in the House. The same is extended to you when you appear before any parliamentary committee, that whatever you say during our interaction will not be used against you in any courts of law. However, Council Secretary, if you choose to misinform, mislead your committee, the same Cap 12 will be used against you. I have no doubt in my mind that you wouldn't take that route and that you're going to give us factual information this afternoon, the information that will help us generate a very good report, the report that we'll then submit before Honorable Madam Speaker in the main house. With that said, now let me invite you, Council Secretary, to make your submission before your committee. You may proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Before I commence, Chair, we are in possession of an addendum which we would like to present to the committee, if with your permission, Chair.
That's fine.
It actually just has additional information for which was part of the appendices.
Okay, that's okay.
Further to that, Chair, I'd like to draw the committee to page 10.
Page 10.
Yes.
Honorable members.
It is just a correction, Chair.
Page 10.
On page 10, right at the top, we have, it's written Appendix L. It is actually supposed to be Appendix G and not L.
Okay.
That is page 10.
Okay.
Further in the appendices, Appendix O on page 106.
Appendix 12.
Yes.
Appendix what?
Appendix O
Oh.
on page 106.
Yes.
And this is now speaking to the ledgers starting from page 110. We will find that the project on serial 1 is corresponding with the ledger which is on page 114 ending on 115. And then the serial 15 is corresponding with ledger 110. So serial 15 is corresponding with the ledger on page 110.
Okay. And the other one? 114, 11.
So there was just a swap there, Chair.
Okay. All right. You may proceed.
Thank you, Chair. The first item is which is A, failure to recover advance payment, drilling of 9 boreholes and installation of hand pumps. Cause of query. Management acknowledges the observations made by the auditor and wishes to report that this was due to delay by the insurance company to honor the cash out, as there were discussions around the works executed by the contractor. In addition, management was in the process of procuring a drilling machine, of which the consideration was that this machine would be used in the drilling of planned boreholes. Action taken. Management wishes to report that a request was received from the contractor suggesting of a liability restructuring by taking into account the value of material mobilized on site. A combined evaluation exercise was undertaken and the matter was resolved by taking possession of the material on site, which has since been utilized to drill the boreholes using the newly procured drill rig. I refer you to Appendix A. Remedial measures: the Council will endeavor to fully utilize the newly acquired drill machine in drilling the boreholes in the district. B. Delayed completion project. Construction of a 1x3 classroom block at Nakaya Primary School. Management acknowledges the observation made by the auditor and wishes to report that this was due to the delay by the contractor to execute the works within the stipulated time frame, leading to a termination of contract. Action taken: management procured a new contract which was awarded at a sum of 390,000 kwacha, and the works have since been completed. Chair, we have a picture of the school on Figure 1. We also refer to Appendix B. Remedial measure: the Council will continue to build capacity on local contractors to improve delivery period. C. Delayed completion of project, which is construction of a 1x3 classroom block at Tembo Primary School. Cause of query: management acknowledges the observation made by the auditor and wishes to report that this was due to slow pace by the contractor. Action taken: management cautioned the contractor and emphasized the need to expedite works or risk termination. The contractor has since completed and handed over the project. And so we have a figure of Figure 2, which has a picture of Tembo Primary School. And you also refer to Appendix C. Remedial measure: the Council will continue to build capacity on the local contractors to improve delivery period. D. Delayed completion of project, construction of 1x3 classroom block at the Kapai Primary School. Cause of query: management acknowledges the observation made by the auditor and wishes to report that this was due to a request from the contractor to shift the project commencement date due to water logging. Action taken: management cautioned the contractor and emphasized the need to expedite works or risk termination. The contractor has since completed the project. And we have a picture of the school, of the classroom block, and also referred to Appendix D. Remedial measure: the Council will continue to build capacity on local contractors to improve service delivery. Or should I say delivery period. E. Delayed completion of project, construction of health post at Silonga. Management response, which has the cause of query. Management acknowledges the observation made by the auditors and wishes to report that this was due to a request for extension of time to complete the project. In addition, the contractor was not on site at the time of physical inspection, as the contractor was securing finishing materials. Action taken: management cautioned the contractor and emphasized the need to expedite works on or risk termination. The contractor has since completed the project. And therefore, we have a picture of the school, of the health post, and we are referred to Appendix E. Remedial measure: the Council will continue to build capacity on local contractors to improve delivery period. Then we have delayed completion of project, construction of health post at Silembe. Cause of query: management acknowledges the observation made by the auditor and wishes to report that the cause of query was due to delay by the contractor to execute the works within the stipulated time frame, leading to termination of the contract. Action taken: management procured a new contract at the sum of 157,000 and works have since been completed. We have a picture of Silembe Health Post, and you also referred to Appendix F. Remedial measure: the Council will continue to build capacity on local contractors to improve delivery period. Chair, we move on to youth, women, and community empowerment, with the first one being failure to provide financial records by cooperatives. Cause of query. Management acknowledges the observation made by the auditors and wishes to report that the cause of query was due to low literacy levels in maintaining financial records by the 8 clubs despite being trained. Action taken. Management engaged clubs to understand possible gaps in failure to maintain financial records. The monitoring team therefore provided advice on financial records and have since availed the financial records for verification. You refer to Appendix L. Oh, G, sorry, G. Remedial measure. Management will continue to train beneficiaries on financial literacy before disbursement of funds. Management will endeavor to develop standardized forms for easy record keeping. 2. Diversion of funds from approved business plans. Cause of query. Management acknowledges the observation made by the auditors and wishes to report that the cause of query is due to environmental concerns, or drought in this case, as these threatened businesses that depended on farming, leading to change of projects to avoid loss of funds. This change, however, was not supported due to procedure at the time of audit, as documented in the monitoring report. Action taken. Management engaged beneficiaries and advised on the procedure to vary projects. The clubs sought approval for variation on their projects, which have since been ratified. Refer to Appendix L. Remedial measure. Management will continue capacity building on the process of variation of approved projects. We have soft loans, inadequate disbursement of loans to businesses. Cause of query. Management acknowledges the observation made by the auditors and wishes to report that the cause of query is due to applicants not having feasible business proposals that would qualify them for the maximum loan amount of 200,000 as evaluated by the bank. Action taken. Management engaged the bank in training beneficiaries on how to develop feasible business plans and sustain them. See Appendix M. Remedial measure. Management will continue to build capacity in the community on accessing CDF empowerment initiatives. Under secondary boarding and skills development, we had irregular payment of bursaries for ineligible beneficiaries. The cause of query. Council management acknowledges the observation made by the auditors and wishes to report that the cause of query was due to inconclusive reconciliation of sponsored candidates at the time of audit. Action taken. Management concluded on the reconciliation process and established that payment was made for eligible students and documents were availed for verification. See Appendix N. Remedial measure. Council management will continue to adhere to CDF guidelines by making payment to eligible students. Section B, appendices. Under Appendix 1, budget funding expenditure. Cause of query. Management acknowledges the auditor's findings and wishes to state that the retained amounts or funds were withheld centrally for the insurance of motor vehicles. Additionally, the balance of the 2023 CDF funding against expenditure relates to 2023 CDF programs that were ongoing at the end of 2023. Action taken. Management wishes to report that the reconciliation of the 2023 CDF was undertaken and results are shown in the table presented before you. And you also referred to Appendix O. Remedial measure. Going forward, Council management will take advantage of the speedy approval system which has now been delegated to the Office of the Provincial Local Government Officer to ensure timely implementation of projects. Appendix 2, total unspent funds. Cause of query. Management acknowledges the auditor's findings and wishes to state that the total unspent balance as at 31st December 2023 relates to 2022 and 2023 brought forward balances for ongoing CDF programs that were incomplete at the end of 2023. Action taken. Management wishes to report that the reconciliation was undertaken and results are shown in the table presented. Chair, you are further directed to Appendix O. Remedial measure. Going forward, Council management will take advantage of the speedy approval system, which has now been delegated to the Office of the Provincial Local Government Officer to ensure timely implementation of projects. Appendix 2.1, Unspent Funds, Community Projects. Cause of query. Management acknowledges the auditor's findings and wishes to state that the balance on the 2023 CDF community projects funding against expenditure relates to the 2023 CDF community projects that were ongoing at the end of 2023. Action taken. Management wishes to report that the reconciliation of 2023 CDF community project component was undertaken and results were shown in the highlighted lines in the table below. And you're also directed to Appendix O. Remedial measure. Going forward, Council management will take advantage of the speedy approval system, which has now been delegated to the Office of the Provincial Local Government Officer to ensure timely implementation of projects. Appendix 2.2, Unspent Funds, Empowerment Grants. Management response. The cause of query. Management acknowledges the auditor's findings and wishes to state that the cause of query is the delay of some 2022 benefiting clubs to validate their account details and only did so in 2023, leading to expenditure exceeding the 2023 grant provision. Action taken. Management wishes to report that the benefiting clubs were paid in 2023. Further, Council management devised a new validation process where the bank is requested to authenticate bank accounts on behalf of all beneficiaries to avoid delay. Refer to the highlighted lines in the table below and also to Appendix O. Remedial measures. Going forward, Council management will continue to engage the bank on behalf of beneficiaries to avoid further delay in validating account details for benefiting clubs. Appendix 2.4, Secondary Boarding and Skills Development Bursaries. Cause of query. Management acknowledges the auditor's findings and wishes to state that the balance of the 2023 CDF bursaries, secondary boarding schools and skills relates to 2023 CDF empowerment programs that were affected by lack of boarding schools in the district in 2023. Additionally, some applicants were not eligible for empowerment. Action taken. Management wishes to report that variations were made after reconciliations were undertaken in 2023 CDF bursaries, secondary boarding schools and skills component. See highlighted table below and also refer to Appendix O. Remedial measure. Going forward, Council management will continue to engage constituents to take advantage of other TVET accredited institutions outside the district. Appendix 2.5, Unspent Funds, Administrative Costs. Cause of query. Management acknowledges the query by the auditor and wishes to state that the cause was the spillover of projects from 2022 to 2023. The 2022 administrative component was spilled over to 2023 as some of the projects were not fully monitored in 2022 as they were ongoing. A balance of 572,468 and 88 ingwe remained unused from the administrative component in 2022. Action taken. The Council management continued to expend the 572,468 and 88 ingwe that was carried over from 2022 to 2023. This implies that there were still residual funds from the consolidated administrative component, which were ultimately utilized in 2024. Refer to the table below as well as Appendix O. Remedial measure. Going forward, council management will continue to adhere to the CDF guidelines in the management of CDF. Appendix 3, 2022 community projects. Cause of query. Management acknowledges the observation made by the auditor and wishes to report that the ongoing projects were as a result of delay by contractors to complete the project time. Action taken. Management engaged the contractors to expedite works or risk termination. The projects were completed and handed over. Referred to Appendix O, as well as the table just below, just there. Remedial measure. The council will continue to build capacity on local contractors to improve delivery period. Appendix 4, 2023 community projects. Cause of query. Management acknowledges the observation made by the auditor and wishes to report that the ongoing projects were as a result of delay by contractors to complete projects on time. Action taken. Management engaged the contractors to expedite works or risk termination. The projects were completed and handed over as shown in the table below, and you also referred to Appendix O. Remedial measure. Council will continue to build capacity on local contractors to improve service delivery period. Appendix 5, analysis of performance, youth, women, and community grants. Cause of query. Management acknowledges the query by the auditor and wishes to state that the cause of query is a delay by the 2022 benefiting clubs to validate their account details and only did so in 2023, leading to expenditure above 2023 provision. Action taken. Council management devised a new validation process where the bank is requested to authenticate bank accounts on behalf of all beneficiaries to avoid delay. You referred to the table below as well as Appendix O once again. Remedial measure. Going forward, council management will continue to engage the bank on behalf of beneficiaries to avoid delay. Appendix 6, change of projects without approval. Management response. Management acknowledges the observation made by the auditors and wishes to report that the cause of query is due to beneficiaries' knowledge gap in project variation process. This resulted in spending on projects that had not been appraised and approved. Action taken. Management engaged beneficiaries and advised on the procedure to vary projects. The clubs sought approval for variation of these projects, which have since been ratified. See Appendix L. Remedial measure. Management will continue capacity building of variation of approved projects. Appendix 7, failure to account for funds. Cause of query. Management acknowledges the observation made by the auditors and wishes to report that the cause of query was due to lack of knowledge in maintaining financial records by the 8 clubs despite being trained. Action taken. Management engaged clubs to understand possible gaps in failure to maintain financial records. The monitoring team therefore provided advice on financial records and has since availed the financial record for verification. See Appendix G. Remedial train beneficiaries on financial literacy before the disbursement of funds. Appendix 8, performance analysis, soft loans. Cause of query. Management acknowledges the observation made by the auditors and wishes to report that the cause of low approval rate, which is 23%, is largely due to the limited resource envelope, which could not cater for the overwhelming response. The late issuance of guidelines on loan contribution to spending the 2022 loan component in I'll read that again. The late issuance of guidelines on loans contributed to spending the 2022 loan component in 2023. Action taken. Management encouraged the applicants to take advantage of the increased CDF allocation in 2024 from 28.3 million to 30.6 million. Consequently, 52 applicants benefited from the loan component in 2024. See Appendix R. Remedial measure. Management will continue to encourage community members on benefits of accessing CDF loans. Appendix 9 is failure to recover loans. Cause of query. Management acknowledges the observation made by the auditors and wishes to report that the cause of query is the low compliance levels among CDF loan beneficiaries in the district. Action taken. Management engaged with beneficiaries on the need to repay loans, reminding them of the terms and conditions of loans with regard to non-compliance. A total sum of 241,765 was recovered in 2024, representing a 154,517 increase from the amount recovered in 2023. See Appendix R. Remedial measures. Management will continue to provide training to beneficiaries on financial literacy, placing great emphasis on the importance of repaying loans prior to disbursement of funds. Appendix 10, Secondary Boarding and Skills Development, Bursaries. Cause of query. Management acknowledges the query by the auditor and wishes to state that difference between the number of applicants and sponsored students was as a result of disqualification of applicants based on the criteria provided in the guidelines, of which 96 graduated whilst the remainder were still undergoing training. Action taken. Council management sensitized communities, encouraging them to apply to other TVET accredited institutions outside the district. Furthermore, management varied the funds to community projects, as shown in the table below, and you're also directed to Appendix O. Remedial measure. Going forward, council management will continue to engage constituents on the benefits of CDF empowerment initiatives. Appendix 13, Analysis of Performance on Desks. The cause of query. Management acknowledges the observation made by the auditor and wishes to report that the cause of query was due to a phased approach in procurement of desks in order to accommodate other needs in the constituency. Action taken. Management procured a total of 2,494 desks in 2023 out of the total deficit of 5,484. And the balance of 2,990 was procured in 2024. The desks have since been distributed to the schools across the district. See Appendix S. Remedial measures. Management will endeavor to include the cost of desks for each classroom being constructed in the constituency. With that brings me to the end of my report, Chair.
Thank you very much, honorable members. Honorable members, points of clarifications, questions? Dr. Mwanza?
Thank you, Chair. We go to page 1.
Let's go to page 1.
Page 1, for the failure to recover advance payment on the drilling of 9 boreholes and installation of hand pumps. This contractor, known as Anthill Properties and Construction, was contracted to install hand pumps at a contract sum of 576,000 between the period of 26 June 2023 to 12 September, which is the right season to drill boreholes. He was paid an advance payment of 144,000 kwacha And by 13th of November, which is almost 4 months beyond this construction period, there was no progress, and the council failed to recover the advance payment after terminating the contract. We are referred to Appendix A, which is Appendix 1 in the addendum. The points of clarification I want to seek is that the contractor, I've checked the correspondence that the contractor said he needed to do reliability restructuring. That is, instead of cashing the advance bond of 144,000 kwacha, he has to trade with the materials that were on site. The materials on site are in appendix number 1 of the addendum. And an inventory is on on page 8 of the addendum. So there were 5-inch 6-meter PVC plain casings. They were 108, and the goods received note is attached to confirm the quantities. The total cost of these materials is coming to 149,864 kwacha, whilst the contractor, the advance payment that he collected was 144,000 kwacha. Was the contractor paid the difference? The difference is 5,840. If so, where is the evidence of payment? The other question is the contractor drilled and cased 2 boreholes that were dry at Sichembe Clinic and Kawaya Kawaya Secondary School. Council has since then taken over the works using the newly acquired drilling rig. The 9 boreholes that were earmarked under this contract, have they been drilled and are they operational using your newly acquired equipment? Thank you.
Council Secretary.
Thank you, Chair. With regard, I'll start with the last question to do with the 9 boreholes. Yes, those boreholes have been drilled and they are yielding quite a good yield with regard to water. As for the excess amount which came from the materials, I think Director Engineering can take that question for me.
Director Engineering.
Thank you, Chair. The difference hasn't been paid to the contractor. That's the current position, Chair.
The difference hasn't been paid.
Yes, Chair.
Dr. Mwanza.
Why?
Ideally, we are supposed to make the payment after we did the evaluation of the materials. We did it with the contractor. Okay, so probably on the basis that the value of the difference is minimal, and then if I can draw you to the attention of when we terminated, we did not apply any liquidated damages. Okay, so this whole process was based on the fact that if either party is punitive with regards to action, there will be either a loss on the council side or on the contractor side. So we agreed that before even the evaluation of the material, I think if you read the response from the contractor, he was very willing to let go of the material because the bond was already cashed out and the conditions of the bond mean that whatever he had attached to that bond, if the council went for that, will be a loss on his part. So if you read the letters and the correspondences, maybe based of that fact, he hasn't claimed the difference and the council hasn't yet paid. I submit, Chair.
Dr. Mwanza?
Okay, so it was on a gentleman's agreement.
Yes, Chair.
The materials, you've given pictorial evidence on Appendix 1, page 7. There's a picture of plain and screen casings, and then also some bags of gravel pack. Some bags of gravel, rather. I'm interested on the pipes. The title is 6 meter plain and screen casings. I cannot see any screen casings here, the perforated pipes. So, yet from your material schedule, you're supposed to have 42 screen casings and 108 plain casings, because pictorial evidence is showing the materials that are presented under the goods received note, which the contractor delivered to council in your custody. So any explanation as to why the screen casings are missing, and why did we even pay for them?
Council Secretary, Director Engineering.
Perhaps the picture is not showing the full length. If you can see, it's 6 meters, and if the screens are quite tiny, they're very small. So on a picture, I doubt if they can be very visible. They are somewhere between 2 millimeters, somewhere about. So to see them on the picture is very difficult. I submit, Chair.
So that's your evidence that it's difficult to see them.
I think based on the gauge for the screens, because what the purpose of the screens is to prevent sand from going into the borehole. So you can imagine how small the slit has to be. So to see them on a picture would be very difficult, Chair. I submit.
Yes. Yes, yes, sir.
Thank you, Chair. I would just want to find out from CS, since there was a gentleman's agreement, on which party benefited. Was it this drilling company, or was it the council? Because when you look at the goods received note, it says 108, right? So this is what he had delivered. This was what was in the initial contract, right? The 108. But we are further told that from the 108, there are 2 dry boreholes, right? Meaning from the 108, this is the material that he had used. I want to be clear, right? Was there additional material that we're not seeing? You haven't put the evidence, or the 108, because the goods received was 108. This is why I'm asking from the gentleman's agreement, who incurred the loss? Was it the council or was it the drilling company? Because the reason why you have not gotten back that money from him, isn't it, is because there was this material schedule. So he's claiming that he had brought in this material, isn't it? So now my question is that this 100 number from the 5, now from the material schedule, right? There is 1, 2, 3 items, okay? And there is transportation, and you put up a goods received note. So my question is, there are 2 dry boreholes from the initial dry boreholes, right? So from these 2 dry boreholes, was this the material that was used? Was this part of the material schedule? Was it part of it, or there is other material that has not been recorded in this report? That would be my question, CS.
Council Secretary.
Chair, the material which was used to drill the dry boreholes has already been utilized, and it is not part of the one of this which was recorded in the inventory. Because what was being recorded in the inventory was what this material which was on site.
Not the one that was used.
No.
Okay. And
My question hasn't been answered.
yes.
Who made the loss in the gentleman's agreement? Was it the contractor, or was it the council? On whose loss is the taxpayers' money vetted on? Is it the council or
The contractor.
the contractor?
Engineer.
Thank you, Chair. The loss is on the contractor because you have two dry boreholes. So for you to do a borehole, first of all, you need a drilling machine, you need fuel, and then that machine has to be mobilized to the district. That's a cost. So these costs that he incurred are in his letter, okay? But the challenge is the contract only specified paying for a wet borehole. So perhaps would have put that into consideration, but that now becomes a loss on his part, because what benefit is a dry borehole to the community? That's why when evaluating, we only focused on the material that was left on the site. So meaning the loss is on the contractor side. So perhaps you can see why he was eager to have a gentleman's agreement. I submit, Chair.
Maybe just on the same, the contractor drilled two dry boreholes. He even cased those boreholes. But according to the contract, you don't pay for a dry borehole, because you did conduct a pumping test, and the yield was below the standard. Then council terminated the contract. Terminating the contract, wanting to settle, to do the financial closure, we could not cash the advance payment bond, but requested to trade off with the materials on site, which are these materials that you have listed here. Now, you do an inventory of these materials. The claim from the contractor actually is about 254,000 kwacha. In page, on appendix 1, on appendix A, in your main submission, is claiming mobilization from Sesheke to Lukulu, 36,000 kwacha. Drilling of dry borehole, he didn't claim because he understood the rules. Gravel packs is claiming there were 300 bags, and he was claiming 21,000. When you add all these claims, it was supposed to come to 249,000 kwacha, 249,200. But anyway, through the joint evaluation, what you received as goods received not, you evaluated that the cost is 149,864. But surely you could not pay the contractor. He mobilized, did two boreholes, dry boreholes, cased, and then he trade off with the materials on site. You come up with this amount of money. The contractor, which means he has been spending time with you from 1st March 2023 up to the time of terminating this contract without any payment. This is a local contractor who we would like to build capacity. And the 2 boreholes that he drilled, he even cased them. Though they were not drilled to, you're saying the minimum required depth was 50 meters, but it doesn't matter. It depends on the time, the depth that you strike water. So, did you treat the contractor fairly?
Council Secretary, oh yeah, Honorable Karurush.
Yes, that is why, Chair, I said, who made the loss? Because, Chair, when we are looking at this CDF, just to vet on what Dr. Mwanza has said, these monies are meant to help our local contractors in one way or the other. The CDF is not meant to kill them. It's meant to bring our local contractors to a certain level where even after this contract, they have some monies, they're able to look for other contracts. Now, when you look at, you do your mathematics, just moving the rig to where you, the various 2 dry boreholes, and he gets paid nothing. Really, are we helping our contractors? And then the other thing I want to find out also with the issue of the drilling of the boreholes, are you as a council also, because you have to do the siting, because if they're going to, you are just going to allow rigs to come and they start drilling, it will be a loss. You're not building your local contractors. There must be siting of these boreholes. I know that for sure that if where I'm staying, we did like 4 dry boreholes and paid the 4 dry boreholes until there was a, yes, when you go to State Lodge, it's very difficult to get water unless you do siting. So I think what Dr. Mwanza and I are trying to say, is it really fair? This is my question. Who made the loss? Is it the council or the contractor? And if the contractor made the loss, you were very eager to say it is the contractor. Are we then helping the contractors? Are we helping local investment in flourishing at this level if we are going to conduct business in such a manner? That is why I asked, who made the loss?
Council Secretary.
Chair, I'll refer that to the Director Engineering.
Director Engineering, are you helping them?
I think the concerns are genuine. The spirit of the CDF is to build the capacity in our local contractors. The unfortunate part with this particular contract, we're talking about boreholes. So if we make payments from one side to the other, okay? That's why you specify to say we're not paying for any wet bore, because everything that goes into a dry borehole, you can't retrieve any of the material. So the casings, the chemical, even the labor. So even when a contractor comes, let's say you award a new contractor, unlike a building or a structure, we'll say they'll start from lintel level or roof level or slab level. With boreholes, it's different. So the loss has to either move to the council or the contractor. So it's unfortunate, but with boreholes, the dry boreholes, we don't pay for, according to the contract that was signed. So in short, that means whatever goes into that borehole, the cost.
You have exhausted, you have explained. Let's go to page 3. On page 3, on B, this is delayed completion project 1/3 classroom block at Nakaya Primary School. CS and your management, you contracted the Orbit Machines and Electrical Service Limited. That is on first March 2023 to construct this 1/3 classroom block. And it was supposed to take you that contract was for 3 months. The contract was for 3 months. But this contract, if you read a physical inspection carried out in September 2024, 14 months past the expected completion date, 14 months. The 1x3 classroom block is not completed, 14 months. You look at the responses that you have given. Management acknowledges the observation made by the auditor and wishes to report that this was due to delay by the contractor to execute the works within the stipulated time frame, leading to a termination of the contract. So where was the council in 14 months after the expected period? First, you give the contractor 3 months in which to execute, in which to put up a 1x3 classroom block. And he doesn't do anything in those 3 months. And then 14 months after that period. So where was the council at that time? Direct engineering.
Thank you, Chair. So the 14 months, I'll take you to Appendix B.
Appendix B.
Where there should be a termination letter. It's in addendum.
Appendix B.
Okay, sorry, Chair. Yes, it's in the appendix. The addendum, sorry.
Yes, in the addendum. Where? What is that?
Okay. So in Appendix 2, we have correspondences which were written to the contractor. So I must make mention that we have 2 contractors for this particular contract. So the first one being Orbit, we engaged them on a number of occasions, okay, which eventually led to a termination of the contract. So the contract was awarded in February of 2022 and then terminated.
2022?
No, 2023. I beg your pardon, Chair. 2023 and then terminated in January on the 12th of 2024. So we allowed it to run for a year, but we concluded that this particular contractor could not finish the work. And then we engaged another contractor to complete the works by the name of Lionheart in June.
I want us to move slowly so that people are able to follow us, what we are doing, and people are able to understand. On page 3 of your submission, the report, do you have the details you are giving us now?
So on this particular page, we only mention the termination.
The termination?
Yes, and also the new contractor.
And when was that? When did you terminate? Because if you look at what you have submitted, we will not ask you anything outside what you have submitted before this committee. So my question was 14 months. Because if I look at your letters, so when did you terminate Orbit Machines and Electrical General Dealers? When did you terminate that, the contract?
So Orbit Machines and General Dealers was terminated in January 2024 on the 12th.
January 2024, you have the letter here?
Yes, it's in the addendum.
Okay. So, but the contract was awarded to these in March 2023?
Yes, Chair.
and there was nothing happening, you end up terminating it the following year.
No, they did some works. So if you can see on the query, the auditor mentioned some payments made.
Yes.
So the payments that were made were towards the works that they did.
What could have delayed the completion of the same? Because initially you gave him 3 months. And you as an engineer have been visiting, you have been going there. What was the problem?
So on the onset, it was the site was difficult to access because of certain areas that were waterlogged. But if we look at the time period, that no longer becomes valid because now you have a dry spell. So the biggest thing that we noticed was the quantity of material that was being delivered on site and the pace at which the material was being delivered. So those were the 2 main issues that we noted.
Yeah, but Director Engineering said some works were done. Some works were done, meaning they were able to access the site.
Yeah, correct, Chair. As I mentioned earlier on in the contract, it was awarded in February of 2023, but that becomes invalid because if you look at the time frame, there's a dry spell.
So we're asking all these questions because look, if you deny pupils or the school, I mean the government, a classroom block for 14 months after it has given out the monies to you, is that prudence? Auditor, you wanted to? Yes, Dr. Mwanza.
Thank you, Chair. Just in addition to the performance of these contracts, I have looked at the projects that have been delayed. There are in total 5 of them. 3 1x3 classroom blocks and also 2 health posts. The 2 projects involving 1x3 have been, their contracts terminated and a new contractor procured, whilst 3 other projects we kept on extending, time extension, and the contractor managed to complete the project. But all these projects, they have taken more than 1 year. And yet the funds earmarked for these projects were available in 2023. Delayed procurement of projects leads to cost escalation. Also, delayed benefits to the community. The total project cost is about 3.6 million kwacha. All these projects that are under query in this, which occupies about 30% of the total community project component for 2023 under LUKULU. The general question for these delayed projects is, you have presented the reason and the action taken, but there is no financial record of any of these projects. Just like what, just an example of Nakaya Primary School. Nakaya Primary School, the contract was terminated on 12th January 2024. There is no evidence, there is no record of the financial closure with Orbit. How much money did you, what was the financial closure with Orbit before procuring the new contract? We have no information as the new contractor when he was contracted, what was his contraction period, and we only see a completion certificate on Appendix B. Appendix B, the completion certificate. Let's look at Appendix B, completion certificate.
Yes.
For Nakaya. The contents of this contract, the contents of this completion certificate are lacking details as such. When did the contractor start this project and the timelines? Then also there is no information about the defects liability period, only just the contract value, the project title, project number, employer address and something like this. Is this the standard completion certificate that is supposed to be traded? Because with all this lack of information, that's the first question. The second question is this school on page Nakaya Primary School.
You may respond on
Yeah,
that
may respond on that as I look for
is-
the.
Yes. Good.
Thank you, Chair. For the financial component, I'll ask Director Finance to make his submission. And for the issue to do with the completion certificate, the Director Engineering will take that up, Chair.
Director Engineering.
So Director Finance will handle the financial component.
Yeah. Okay. Director Finance.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Maybe the clarity the Honorable would appreciate is that on page 113, we have a ledger, 113,
On the main report, where?
in the main report.
Yeah. 100.
That is Appendix O.
Chair, the financials are actually on Appendix O.
For all the projects.
Okay. Are you there, Honorable Mwanza?
I've seen them, but you misled us, because from your main submission, page 3 going through to page 4, you are saying see attached Appendix B. So one expects that every information pertaining to this project should be in Appendix B. How would we guess that the financials are in Appendix 4?
Secretary.
I apologize for that, Chair. However, there are a number of items which are referring to Appendix O, and that is where all the financials regarding all
We
the
have
pro-
no
all the-
dispute. We are not
Yeah.
disputing that one. We have no problem with that.
Yes, sir.
The only problem we had is what he asked and which you have apologized. Those other issues, we have no problem with them. Yes, Director Engineering, the completion certificate.
Thank you, Chair.
You should also, in addition to the completion certificate, you should also respond as to why your projects that are supposed to take 3 months, they always go over a year. Why is it like that in LUKULU?
Okay. I'll start with the completion certificates.
Yeah.
So what we issue is 2 types of certificates: a partial completion certificate at the time when the project is completed.
We appreciate that lecture, but we want you to talk about the completion
Okay.
certificate here.
Okay, for this particular one, I think, Chair, it's an error from our part. It was supposed to have all those details that the doctor is referring to. I submit, Chair.
So this is an invalid completion certificate. All right, Honorable Kamondo.
Thank you, Chair. I think mine is just some points of clarification on the failure to recover the loans.
You're on page what, sir? Lead us to the page.
Page 23.
Page 23 on the main report.
Yes,
Thank
main
you.
report, yes. Chair, When you look at the amounts that are involved, we have an amount of 6.4 million, which should be recovered. However, when you look at how much was recovered, only 87,248. This actually gives us a very sad reading. When you look at also the action taken, it reads, the management engaged with beneficiaries on the need to repay loans, reminding them of the terms and conditions of the loans with regard to non-compliance. A total of 241,765,000 was recovered in 2024, representing a 154 increase from the amount recovered in 2023. Then there is a description on repayment here, 2024 241 and the other one 87. Then they've actually referred us to Appendix R. Now when you look at Appendix R, the information which is there does not actually does not show us actually what they are trying to refer to. So I wanted to have a point of clarification, but with that maybe I've got some reading questions that maybe they may wish to answer.
Yes, sir.
Yes, the first one, I wanted them actually to show this committee the evidence that they have shown. They have said that they involved the community, those community engagements with the people that could have borrowed. And also, I wanted them also to show us actually the repayment, how the people are paying, so that we know exactly what they have actually tabulated, that this is the amount which has been paid and what is remaining and what is the status quo. And also, have they tried to issue some demand notices to encourage these defaulters to pay? I think I end there.
Thank you very much. Council Secretary?
Thank you, Chair. I would like to refer that question to the Director Planning. However, as he's doing so, I'd also like to refer you, Chairperson, to the addendum, which has further information under Appendix 9. And so Director Planning will take us through from there.
Director Planning?
Thank you, Chair. So we did request the bank to give us a recovery payments plan, and it's the one which is on the addendum, on the page 9 in the addendum. So, of course, there's a low recovery as it is showing. So the action that we actually engaged them is that we actually wrote to them the demand notices. And sorry to say that we actually didn't, it was supposed to be part of the addendum. So we only have a sample of the demand notices, which through your permission, Chair, I would like to, because they were supposed to be part of the addendum, but they came late. So, yeah, that's the action we took. We did a demand notice to them. Then we also appreciate the fact that we've received the legal officers in the town councils who are now probably guiding us on the best possible legal action to take for these people who are failing to pay back the loan. Thank you. I submit, Chair.
So, Director, this letter you're referring us to, it's coming from the bank, right? To the Council Secretary. This was the information that the bank was giving you pertaining to the loans?
Yes, Chair.
And this was in May 2023.
Sorry, Chair, is that in the main report?
No, in the addendum. The addendum. Appendix 9. So what we are saying, this was 2023. May 2023. Today is April 2025. What the committee, what my colleague is concerned about is what the recoveries that you have made. You have seen the letter that was coming from the bank manager just to update you on what is happening. But from that end, what else have you done? Because this is more than a year.
Thank you so much, Chair. So what we've done, we've just written the demand notices and hoping that once the...
You have a copy of
Yes,
the demand notice here.
Yes, Chair.
Give us that copy. Give us that copy. Let's give us even one copy, it's fine. If they are all... So I've written the demand notices. This was done on the 8th of January 2025. From 2023, May, you come and write in January 2025. And you have not even received any response from these people. So Director Planning, what have you been doing from 2023? The whole of 2024, there is no correspondence and nothing. It doesn't worry you as an officer. You see, at times, you know, negligence of duty, CS, is not good. If there are correspondences, these monies are supposed to be recovered. But you have an officer that reports and get paid for 1 year, 1 good year, doing nothing on the other end. This is the evidence that we have here. The notice, honorable members, you can look at it. January 2025. Do we have any hope of recovering these monies? Honorable Kamondo, you may follow up with your questions.
First, let me ask our council. You are aware also that among those people that could have gotten the loans, if they had bought any equipment, you are supposed to repossess the equipment when the period expires. If you have some of those, how many of those have you managed to repossess? And on the demand notices, I would have loved actually you to give us the whole bunch of the demand notices that you have written. But you have got only one, and which was written just this year. The concern that the chair has raised is equal to my concern. Why should you wait all that long? Are you really serious? Because you know and you are aware that this is a revolving fund. And I'm sure we have problems actually when it comes to this fund, because everyone wants to benefit. So when are the others going to benefit if we have got this attitude? And you also may be aware that the president of this republic, President Hakainde Hichilema, spoke to this, where he was saying, why should people not pay? Why should only a special type or a special group benefit from these monies? And even maybe the most vulnerable people. What is so special about these people in LUKULU? Why are they not paying? Why are they not being taken to court? Because even after, you would have actually done this a long time ago, and you should have even started actually the procedure of taking them to court. Why do you have this attitude?
Council Secretary, even before maybe you respond, have you read this letter, the letter that you are giving us as Appendix 9? Have you read the letter? Is it speaking to what we are discussing? Because this letter from the bank manager was coming to Council Secretary, informing them that there are documents that we need that are missing on the clients. It has nothing to do with recovery that we are talking about. So please don't mislead this committee. Can you respond to Honorable Kamondo's question? Then Honorable Mutero will follow.
Chair, again, I would ask Director Planning to respond and or Director Finance as well.
Director Planning.
Thank you so much, Chair. Honorable Kamal mentioned of the why didn't we take legal action. I must mention that that is why in the beginning we appreciated the fact that we've received legal officers who are now guiding us, because we're scared to go into a legal battle where you probably end up just being the one losing at the end of the day. So
You can't submit that, Director. You can't. You can't do that. You can't submit that. So this whole year you are seated because you thought if you lose, you are going to lose in court and all those things. Yet on the contract form there, the law is very clear. Let me ask you, the former Council Secretary. Former Council Secretary, is that your position as well?
Thank you, Chair. I must say clearly that it's a weakness on our party. We should have done better than this. So what we can assure this House is that going forward, we will do our best. We don't expect this query again. I thank you, Chair.
You see, to respond to that, actually now we have the legal officer. At that time I was afraid. I say maybe I can lose, maybe I can do that. Every local authority is recovering the money using the old system, using the provided registration. But we have LUKULU, 12 months getting paid, Director, Planning. And then you submit this letter to say, no, we have engaged the bank. Engaging the bank is asking for documentation for the list that you provided. There is nothing that you have done towards repayment here. Towards recovery, there is nothing that you have done. Because there is no document from the bank, there is no document from you. Director Finance, do you have any documentation? Any correspondences between you and the bank?
Thank you, Chair. We appreciate the council, but that we want to submit that there is information relating to the loans in the addendum on page 46, starting from page 46.
46. In the addendum?
Yes, there's a schedule there which shows who owes us how much and how much they have paid, which is the basis through which the Director of Planning is actually acting to write the demand notices. Thank you.
Page 46. This one is from who to who? Is it from you to the bank or from the bank to you?
This is from the bank to us, informing us on who has paid and how much they have paid and how much they owe.
So from this schedule, how much have they paid from this one?
So in terms of the schedule, if you go to page 50, the last page of the report, the summaries are, you are able to extract the summary of the information from there. So for instance, in terms of the recoveries, you will be able to note that 254,000 is what is recovered. And then in terms of what is pending, in terms of what was supposed to be paid but has not been paid, that is the 4.9 million there, and 5.2 was the expected recovery. So that's the information that the committee would appreciate.
So now we have three figures in terms of recovery, isn't it? We have 87,000 in the main report, and then we have 241, and then we have 254.
Thank you, Chair. The 254 actually includes, this is the latest information as at March. It includes what is obtained in 2025 as well. But what is in the report that is submitted, we have said 2024 recoveries. And then the 87 is actually the 2023 recoveries. And then there's also an element of interest, which was not actually accounted for as we were talking about recoveries in the submitted report. Thank you, Chair.
So this is the updated report?
Yes, Chair.
The latest one?
Yes.
So you should have recovered 254,000.
We should have recovered 5,224,561 as it now. However, we only recovered 254.
Yes. So
leaving a balance
I want to find out from Director Planning how many times, or do you have a schedule on how we engage the communities, how we engage the beneficiaries in trying to recover? Because you have the vehicle, you have the money. So how many times have you gone into the communities to check on the activities on these loans, Director Planning? Have you done that?
Thank you so much, Chair. We've only done twice, so with your guidance moving forward, we'll be able to do more.
Yes, sir. You have a question.
Chair, when you look at this schedule, I
Which
mean
one?
this statement on 46, page 46 on the small.
Yes.
I'm actually concerned because we have seen some people here, like in number one, client number one,
Yes.
who got 150,000. Number of payments made, new. When you go again to client number 3, number of payments made, they got 150,000 as well. New. The list goes on, new. So when you look at this, new, others have made at least 1 or 2 payments, but the rest of these got a lot of money. They've not made any payment. And we are just remaining with maybe 1 year, maybe, or 2 years since they got this money. So I don't know what I can say, but you had already said it earlier on, and you are going to conclude. I'm concerned. I think LUKULU is not very serious about this.
Now I'll make some comments. Honorable Mutero, as you introduce yourself, sir.
They know him.
Chair, it was not by default, not wanting to sit. LUKULU council is landlord to Mitete council. We are in this.
So ask the question from here.
We are
Introduce
in
yourself.
LUKULU. Amutelo Misheki, your humble servant, as you may know you yourselves. Client to you, our landlord. MP for Mitete. Chair, first, we appreciate Parliament for the Parliament TV and radio. On the boreholes and the rigs, I'm pretty sure with your own rig now, that matter should be the thing of the past. You have your own rig now, isn't it? Yes, you do have your own rig now.
Yes,
So
Chair.
no more dry boreholes. And you are the second council, director of works. I've heard of gentleman agreement. You don't do that with government affairs. You don't. Just to do your job. My substantive question will be on page 4, but a follow-up on loans. Going forward, forget of page 4 for now. CS, going forward, what would be your suggestion concerning this component of loans. We want to hear it from you people who are on the ground. You may exempt this year. What would be LUKULU Council's standard on the component of loans, CDF?
Then we actually take the legal action that is required. And for that, Chair, that is something that we intend to pursue.
That's good.
Thank you. You take legal actions. Thank you, Chair. That answer is correct. But here are a people whom we want to empower. They are coming from, lack of better words, ashes. How do we mitigate this? The purpose of CDF is to uplift the people's standards of living. But we are caught into this world. How are we going to help? Yes, legal actions, fine. But the intention is to empower. Thank you, Chair.
Ask your question.
Question number 4. Director of Works, Tembo Primary School, 1/3. It says straightforward. The chair is in his dying minutes. You've said we cautioned the contractor. I've gone to Appendix C. That caution is not there. Director of Works, was it done orally? Or like you've stated, gentleman's caution? Even the cautioning was in a gentle way.
Director of Works.
Chair, because Zambia is a Christian nation.
Director of Works.
Thank you, Chair. We have, excuse me, we have added the correspondences in the addendum. So if you go to,
I've gone to Appendix C.
in the addendum, excuse me.
Addendum, yes. Which one?
On Appendix 3 of the addendum.
Yes.
We have correspondences from the contractor and also the ones that were written to him by the council.
Okay. This was 27th November 2023. Is it the one?
So the first one is on the 27th of November 2023.
All right. When the external auditors came, you never gave them this because you would have resolved everything back home.
Chair, I think if we refer to the query, it's delay.
Yes.
Yes.
So could delay, then you should have given them to say that we have been corresponding, we've been talking.
That's
because this evidence is just coming now. CS, if you have such evidence, drop things home. This thing will be very, maybe 2 or 3 queries. If you'll be waiting for this place, that's when you bring about evidence. Do you know what to be thinking? Manufactured.
Okay.
Meanwhile, not.
It's
Next time they come, give them the information. Chair,
Thank you very much.
I end here.
Thank you. Is it a bullet question?
On the same page 4, Tembo Primary School.
Yes.
The picture on page 5 of the completed 1x3 classroom block at Tembo has an extended corridor with extra pillars. You can compare a standard 1x3 classroom block on page 3 at Nakaya Primary School. So the front view would have 4 pillars that is leading to the office. 2 pillars to each office. So the classroom block at Tembo 1x3 has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pillars with extended roof. What motivated the design to change from the standard 1x3 classroom block to such at Tembo with an increased cost of those extra pillars and also obstructing the middle classroom block?
Director Engineering.
Thank you, Chair. So this is an existing design also under Ministry of Education. So some of the classroom blocks that you go, you find such. And if we look at other, for instance in Lusaka, you have various models of the 1x3.
Just a minute, let me recognize the Honorable Member of Parliament for LUKULU East, Honorable Dr. Garida. Sir, you are welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Though we are winding up, but you are welcome.
Better late than never, sir.
Precisely. Yes, Honorable.
Thank you, Chair. We've been struggling on these loans. The statistics I've just calculated based on the data that has been forwarded on Appendix 9 shows that the information from the bank, NatSave, has 72 beneficiaries from 2023. And there are 48 beneficiaries from 2024. The expected recovery amount should have been 5,224,563 kwacha. But what has been recovered is 254,000 kwacha from 5,224,000, representing a recovery rate of 4%, 4.7%. And the trend, which is a bit worrying, is that the total number of beneficiaries from 2023 to 2024 is 120, split as 72 from 2023 and 48 in 2024. For those that got these loans in 2023, there are some that have showed some efforts to make payments. There are 43 of them. So 43 beneficiaries out of 72 have made some payments. And these are the ones that have contributed to the recovery of 254,000 kwacha. But those that got, the 48 that got the loans in 2024, none of them have made a payment. And yet, their payment date is due. But so we're worried about the trend that those that got the loans in 2023, some 43 out of 72 showed, they're paying. But those that got loans in 2024, out of 48, nobody has paid anything. So from these statistics, it seems there's that influence from those that got in 2023 and those that got in 2024 not to pay, because those that got loans in 2024, nobody has paid. From this trend, what is your what is your take?
We restrict ourselves to 23, 2023. No, they are not queried for 2024. So even when they are putting that, they are not supposed to do that in the first place. As we conclude, I want to say Lukulu Town Council is not performing to the expectation of this government, of this committee, and the people of Lukulu itself. Your performance is below the expectations of the people that are supposed to benefit from this fund, the CDF fund. Most of the projects that are carried out in Lukulu that are supposed to be completed and handed over and be used by our people, our pupils, our ordinary citizens in Lukulu, the regulations or the standard or the guidance from the ministry is that they are supposed to be completed and handed over within the space of 3 months, 3 to 4 months. In Lukulu, projects are taking more than a year. After 3 months, the expected period of completion of a classroom block, it takes another 14 months. And people are there. Honorable Commando, I want these people to listen to what I'm saying. And the people are there. And at the end of the day, we have the principal officer that presides over all these departments, that is supposed to make sure that things are moving 14 months later. We have seen a lot of projects, and the only response we are getting from the council is that we are now engaging the contractors. Going forward, as a remedial measure, is that we'll be engaging the contractors frequently so that they execute the contracts as expected. But why haven't we been doing the same in the past? And what assurance are we going to get that indeed that will be the trend, that will be the style now going forward? CS, I want you to know that the buck stops at you. How you supervise, it means you yourself as council secretary. You don't get the reports. You don't take interest to see what is happening in every department, especially the engineering department, the DPO, the planning department. How can it take all these months without the planning, engaging the people so that they recover? Out of 5 million plus, you only recover 254,000. Are you sure that from this revolving account, other people will be able to benefit? Are they going to benefit if other people are not paying that money? There is no repayment being done. There is no engagement that is being done by your people. Council Secretary, take keen interest in these matters. You must leave the office at some point, 1 or 2 days, or 3 days in a month, or 4 days in a month. You jump on the vehicle, on the monitoring vehicle, go and see what is happening out there. I'm sure if the council secretary was able to do that, it wouldn't have taken us 14 months after the expected completion period. It wouldn't have happened like that. But because the principal officer also has no interest, the junior officers, we are paid for service. We are paid for service. And this government is so generous, very generous government. I've never seen a government that is as generous as this government, where they say that here's the vehicle and here's fuel, just go there. And on top of that, you even get lunch allowance or something. What else do you want the government to do for you to deliver service to our people? What else do they do? So I'm saying we are not happy with this report. We are not happy with this report, and it should not be like this. This should not be a standard. We must, all of us, be running with these projects. We must, all of us, be able to deliver to the expectations, number one, of this government, number two, of the people you are serving, the communities that you are serving. With that said, we wish you well, and it's our expectation that next year you appear before our committee, you have something that you show that indeed things have changed and you have taken a different direction and you are delivering service to our people, to our communities. We'll make our recommendations to the powers that be so that together we develop this nation. Thank you very much for making this appearance, and we can only wish you well as you travel back to LUKULU. I'm almost lifting up the immunity. I can see your finger. What do you want to say, Council Secretary?
Chair, I would just like to thank you and the members of the committee for the wise counsel. And I anticipate that the members of management are here. They've heard for themselves that we really do need to pick up the pace in which we are working, especially with the loans. And so, Chair, thank you very much. Thank you very much, members of the committee.
Well, welcome. We expect the best. At this point, allow me to withdraw the immunity that was conferred on you at the beginning of our interaction. And we wish you well as you travel back to LUKULU. Dr. Kalida. I'm surrendering your children to you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's good to know that you are so glued to Parliament and television. The Committee on Local Government Accounts has come to the conclusion of today's business. Remember, the committee earlier on received the submissions from Luampa Town Council as well as Limolonga Town Council, and wrapping up the submissions for this week was LUKULU Town Council. Thank you so much. I've been a presenter, Muyunda Akata Majo. In the control room, Vanji Gove and Mr. David Mulenga, and not forgetting our two sign language interpreters, Chola Kaoma and Jocelyn Manda. Madam Monica Kunda in the control room. Thank you so much for that correction. We wish you well and have a pleasant weekend.